Okay. Oh, my video went away. Hold on. Why is this? Okay. Sorry. It is just craziness today, but I'm getting it together. So, welcome everybody to my last meeting as faculty senate president. So, super excited about that. I will just jump right into the agenda. I asked for updates from the chancellor and provost. They didn't really have anything to report at this time. I know they have some meetings planned with the deans and chairs. I was invited to a meeting last week to talk about some stuff, but that got pushed. Unfortunately, the chancellor's mother has been in the hospital some, so he has been dealing with that. And so some of our meetings have gotten pushed due to that. So no new updates from them. When we do hear from them, I will definitely pass along what we learn. We did hold our elections. Well, we held the nomination, and then there was no need for elections because all positions were uncontested. So your incoming faculty senate president will be has been forwarded. I shouldn't say will be. The election results have been forwarded to Dr. Wallace for him to make the final appointment. President-elect was Doug Elrod, Vice President Jason Rutledge, Secretary Cami Boaz, and our Senator at-large position, Kristen Weinzappel again. So thank you to everybody who nominated and seconded and all the fabulous stuff. Y'all are going to be in fabulous hands next year. I have no concerns about that. Bit updates. Is Doug here?
I am. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, good. We have not met. I think with the health conditions of our leader, it's been a little difficult to get everything together and that kind of stuff. There is a meeting that's supposed to come up next week, and if that comes along, we'll try to let y'all know what's going on if it needs to be disseminated.
Excellent. Let's see. Instructional Council. I did attend Instructional Council. The 2026-2027 academic catalog was approved. And then there was some discussion about the upcoming requirements for compliance in all of the courses with accessibility. I was just hearing this morning that our initial deadline of having all of our course content in compliance has been pushed from April 2027 to April 2028. So you'll be hearing about that if you haven't already from your division chairs. E-learning is working to provide an accessibility checklist that is coming soon, and they will support faculty with resources and everything that we need through that process. So I do have information somewhere that I can pull from the math division meeting that has a couple of links to information about that. I will, as soon as I have access to that document, I will add that into, or ask Jason to add that into our minutes so that everybody has access to that information. So I would ask if there are any questions about that, but I really don't have answers on that yet. I just wanted to give y'all a heads up that that is coming. The executive committee did not meet again, with some of the issues with the chancellor being indisposed. We haven't heard anything about meetings for that yet. I did want to talk a little bit about the board meeting that was held. I know that some faculty have heard that there was an email to the chairs setting a goal of 60% of our courses being offered on campus, 20% being hybrid, and 20% being online. We are currently around about half and half on campus and online. I think the numbers I saw this morning were 45% on campus, 46% online. And I know that that has caused some concern for people um, to, in the, as far as the notion of maybe limiting how many students are allowed in online courses. I don't think that that is the purpose of this necessarily. The I think the goal is to make sure that our students have access to the types of courses that they want. And there is this view that we have pushed a lot of our courses online. And so maybe putting in some more on-campus options, including evening and even possibly Saturday classes, will help us bring in more students. So if you watch the board meeting, I would encourage everybody to at least watch from like around minute 25 to about minute 38. There was some pretty good discussion there. The board members had some really good questions, and they were assured that while we're going a little bit extreme on saying, okay, we're going to start with our schedule being 60% online, 20% hybrid, and 20% online, that there are classes waiting in the wing to be opened up as the demand changes. So as they see those enrollment numbers coming in and seeing what students are actually taking, then there are classes ready to be opened up, more online options if it's needed. But as the feeling that I got from listening to the board meeting is they want to put these options out there to see if our transition to a lot of online courses is due to the demand, or if that's just something that happened kind of due to COVID and then we found ourselves here. So I don't think it's as dramatic of a thing as what I initially thought. Initially, I was like, we're doing what? And how does this make any sense? But knowing that Dr. Wallace is assuring the board that we have those other classes waiting to be opened if that's where the demand is for those online and hybrid courses. Um, it's not as scary as it sounded at first. So, questions, comments, concerns about that?
I have a question. I think I just
Yes.
kind of missed something. I'm trying to take notes at the same time. Haven't done this in a while. So I'm sure you just said this, but why exactly do you think it isn't as bad as we think? Because my chair made it sound really awful. Like we are panicked in social science.
I think the initial impression was that this is what we're going to do. We're going to have 60% on campus and 20% hybrid and 20% online, and that's it. And that's the end of the story. But if you listen to the board meeting, starting around minute 25 and the discussion that happened there, I think that it is more of a let's check this out and see if that's where the demand is, or if the demand really is to have more online classes. And as they hear from advising and um, and division chairs and things like that, as far as, hey, this class is filled, okay, this online class is full, I need to open another one, they're okay with that. They're okay with being flexible. So if the demand is for those online courses, if it's truly a demand issue that we are using so many online courses, then those courses are in the system already set to 0. So they're not showing up on the schedule for students yet because they're set to be, set to where you can't enroll in them, but they are there waiting and ready if that's what the demand is. So initially the impression seemed to be that it was a hard and fast rule of 60-20-20, where I think it's more of a I kind of want to say fishing expedition of let's see what the real demand is, but they want to be able to verify to the board that if we are at 50% online courses, it is truly because that is what the demand from the students is, not because that's what, we decided we wanted to do, which I don't really know a whole lot of faculty who are like, yes, I just want to teach online courses and I never want to see my students face to face. So I will say that I do also see this as something um, that will strengthen our adjunct pay raise proposal. Because if we're going to be asking adjuncts to teach online courses, if we're moving to 60%, if that's really what the demand says, if we're moving to 60% on campus, we're going to have adjuncts teaching on campus. And if you want to get adjuncts on campus, you're going to have to pay to have adjuncts on campus is kind of going to be my message. So Jeremy, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question. Do you know if the number of sections of courses is actually changing? Because I listened to that board meeting as well, and my impression was they were trying to expand course offerings to get those potential students that were there for Saturday or evening classes, and somehow rebalancing things may have gotten to that, or is it the number of sections is flat? We're just rejiggering the whole schedule.
I am not 100% sure on that. That would be a good question for your division chair, I would
Okay.
say, because they would have more of a feel for what their schedule looks like if it's about the same number of courses, just reoriented, or if they've added more courses in anticipation of, you know, maybe having to kill more courses, which to me is a concern if we
Mm.
are adding courses in and then you get 3 students in and then you're killing that course. That is a disappointment to those students because they wanted a specific type of course and now they're being told, well, we didn't have enough students. So, does that answer your
Yeah,
question
I had a quick
without answering
follow-up.
it?
I mean, yeah, it is a bit department or division dependent, and we would discuss this a bit in our division meeting as well, what we were doing. I wasn't sure what the overall trend was. Um, but in terms of assessing what students want, was there any attempt at getting like a student survey or anything to inform this decision?
There was, I did see in our division meeting this morning, there was a survey done for students when they're entering the college, when they're first signing up for classes, asking what types of courses they wanted, what times they wanted these courses. And I can't say it was necessarily the best designed survey because they lumped Saturday with no preference or unknown. So it looks like there's a huge demand for Saturday courses, but really we've got Saturday, no preference, and probably people who didn't answer that question on the survey all lumped together. So I know that Ben has asked them to disaggregate that and see if we can get better data on that. But I think that that's part of the driving force for having classes on Saturday is this notion that, oh, well, 15% of the students were in that category, but it's not all 15% are
Yeah.
probably asking for those Saturday courses.
Okay, thank you.
Brittany, I didn't ask, did I actually answer your question? Oh, I see you put in the chat. So it's not really a board policy. It's not a policy per se. It is something that they are trying out. Initially, when we heard it, it sounded like it was coming from the board. I know that board members are being approached and you know receiving reports from the community in the Gainesville area that well, so and so tried to sign up for a class and they had to go somewhere else because we don't offer it on campus. So I think that's where the concern is stemming from. but I don't think that the 60-20-20 was necessarily a board policy. I think it's, Dr. Wallace referred to it as, you know, sometimes to figure things out, you really have to swing the pendulum hard one way and then kind of see where things land. So I think that that 60-20-20 is him saying, let's swing the pendulum really far towards on-campus classes, but of course have those other options waiting, ready to go as online classes or hybrid classes start to fill.
So
Does
in
that
no
make
way,
sense?
shape, or form, this is coming from the state of Texas legislature, is what I'm asking. At all. Is this the state or is this the board only?
As far as I know, it is the board.
All right, thank you.
Hi, Miss
Cheryl,
B.
you have a question?
Yeah, I know that having more fewer online classes is going to be an issue, especially in my department, the Visual and Performing Arts department. And we have been told that adjuncts will be required to teach at least one on-campus course in the art section of the department each semester. And that's definitely going to affect adjuncts, getting adjuncts to go anywhere on campus. That definitely affects the adjuncts. And also, I got the impression that, because I think we got a notification from our chair about this 60-40 or 60-20-20 ratio before the board meeting. So I don't think it has anything at all to do with the board. It's coming from the administration first. So that's just my comment.
Okay. And that it's there because yes, it certainly, that did come out before the board meeting, but I do know that Dr. Wallace regularly speaks
Okay.
to the executive members of the board. So I assumed that it was something that had been brought up there. And then when it came up at the board meeting, other board members had a lot of questions about it. So I am hopeful that what we will see is that, number one, it helps us push this notion of, if you want adjuncts doing these things, you are absolutely going to have to raise the pay, because, no, I can't say that out loud, but we all know that there are colleges around us who pay significantly more for the adjuncts to come on campus. And so if we want to compete for adjuncts coming on campus to teach, then we're going to have to be more competitive. That's as nicely as I can put it. So other questions, comments, or concerns about that? I know we're all concerned. I'm hopeful. Me personally, I'm hopeful that the students want to come on campus, because I would love to do more face-to-face teaching. I think most of us feel like, being in the classroom with our students face-to-face is much easier than teaching online. So for selfish reasons, I really hope that, I'd like to teach more on-campus classes, but as always, of course, our faculty are going to meet students where they're at and where the demand is. So that's my thoughts on it. Any other thoughts?
I have one more actually.
Go, Brittany.
Sorry, I have a lot of questions.
No, that's fine.
So this came up in our division meeting, and my chair didn't seem to have a clear cut, yes or no on this. But he said there was a potential that we might be, as full-time faculty, required to be on campus Monday through Thursday for 8 hours each day. Do you know anything about that?
What I have heard is that they are wanting faculty on campus 4 days a week, but I have not heard anything other than, being there for at least 10 office hours a week. So I have not heard anything about 8 hours a day or anything like that. And I do think that if I'm hearing those things, my concern, which I would represent to Dr. King and Dr. Wallace, is if faculty are working this like an 8 to 5 job, then those student emails and the grading and all that stuff that's being done in the evenings and over the weekends and all those times when we're sitting at our, you know, sitting with our family doing whatever, and we're like, oh, look, I got a student email, let me answer this real quick, may not be happening because, you know, faculty have used up their allotted hours. Essentially, if, you know, if I'm working 8 to 5 every day, then I'm going to need some time to step away from that rather than taking it in small breaks here and there so that I can do these things in the evening and over the weekends, and meeting students, you know, at the times when they are off work and need to meet with me, then it cuts into that time, I think. So that would be my concerns as far as them being very prescriptive about when we're doing our job, is it cuts into our, you know, into what our students actually need.
Well, a lot of us also have other jobs. I understand that we're full-time and, you know, this job comes first, but NCTC is not very competitive with their pay for full-time instructors as well. So some of us have really had no choice but to adjunct at other schools or take other part-time jobs. And this would really affect our ability, like our livelihood, basically in general. I mean, I don't understand, you know, how we're supposed to, you know, rectify that with, you know, a potential new issue of being on campus 4 days a week.
Understood. Um, Christine says that nursing instructors have been told that they need to be on campus 4 days a week, 8 to 5. I have not heard that from our division at this point, and I haven't seen anything specifically requiring specific hours. I have heard in the, you know, in the background noise, this notion of being on campus 4 days a week. So I did want to give faculty a heads up that, you know, you may be looking at being scheduled on campus more than you had anticipated or more than you have been in the past, and just to be prepared for that. And that's a little out of my control, but that's kind of where we find ourselves at this point. But I will definitely bring forward concerns outside of, you know, about that. Any other questions? Okay. I had really hoped to be able to report to y'all on the constitutional amendments slash updates and the adjunct pay raise proposal. I was scheduled to present those at Chancellor's Cabinet last Monday, then last Tuesday, then Thursday. I am now on the schedule for Tuesday of this next week. I'm fairly certain that that one will actually go through. So those are on the agenda, and I will be presenting those, and hopefully, please, please let us be done with this Constitution. Again, I will say that Dr. Wallace did ask us to do the adjunct pay raise proposal again, so I have high hopes for that. I think that they're definitely open to hearing what we have to say. And y'all have all had a chance to review that. And I took the things that Jeremy and Tom had brought up in the last meeting and added those into that pay raise proposal. So those adjustments have been made. Any questions on either of those? Okay, and then the student handbook review committee did meet with Dr. King on the 24th. I believe Anne is here. Anne, did you want to give us an update on that? I emailed you very last minute asking you about that, but
Sorry. Sorry.
sorry, I
Okay.
didn't give you much heads up.
That's all right. Um, yes, we met with Dr. King, and some of our concerns were some of the stuff in the student code of conduct was probably more of a legal issue than a faculty issue. And some things were just even missing from the handbook pertaining to the student code of conduct. So Dr. King reassured us that our input as faculty, as all faculty, not just the Senate, not just the committee, is heard and is welcomed. So that was encouraging. He asked us to submit certain portions of the code that we had worked on to him so that he could send that forward to other interested parties. I can't remember who they would be, but off the top of my head. We also worked on a section on how students address emails and how they communicate with their professors. It was suggested in the meeting that that might not go over so well in certain situations, seeming that we're, just trying to tell students how to do, what to do, communicate, blah, 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 that sort of thing. And it was suggested that e-learning put that in a module so that instructors could add that to their classes as they saw fit. If they wanted to add, as a part of their course or just as a suggestion kind of thing. So all of that will be happening probably over the summer, early next fall kind of thing. He doesn't need it until I think September or something like that. I think he said, I don't remember when, October maybe. So yeah, so that's where we are with that.
Excellent. And I do remember that on some of the issues, we wanted to pull in the Great Appeals Committee
Oh, yes, that's
to
right.
discuss, to look over some
Yes.
areas
Yes.
and
Yes.
maybe, I don't remember, there was another group that we wanted
Yes.
to look at some stuff. I'll
Yeah.
have to go back and look at, the notes from that.
Right. It was also suggested by our committee, I keep forgetting the video, that e-learning could maybe make a video on all of these changes to the code of conduct, to the communication, so that there's an actual video that instructors could use as well, again, to put into their modules if they felt necessary. So, but yeah, that's where we are right now.
Thank you. And thank you for your work. And if y'all didn't get a chance to look over the suggested changes, I think we sent those out last month. Definitely take a look at that section on, that they've done on how to email your instructor. I
Yes.
thought it was incredible work. And
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to adding that module into my class and putting it as part of my course orientation and,
Yeah.
adding a requirement that students send me an email at the beginning of the semester so that they
Yeah.
know how this
So
works.
considering I just got an email from a student that said, "Hey, Coleman," which first of all, she got my name wrong. And I responded with, "Hey, Gamble." So
There you
yeah.
go.
Anyway, it's a good one. Yeah, definitely for sure.
Yes, so excellent work going on there.
Okay.
And huge thank you to that committee for all of their work. I know that they'll be forwarding stuff, the things that they found that need attention to
Mhm.
Dr. King so that they can pull in and
Absolutely.
pull in the necessary people to look at those. I know like there was one place that it referred to a policy and there's no policy
Right.
anywhere. So
Right.
it's good just to have fresh eyes on those things every once in a while.
Mhm.
Okay, any questions on that? Cheryl, did you have a question or is your hand still up from earlier? I don't want to ignore you. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on then. And Kristen, I know I have you next on the agenda, but if you don't mind, I'm going to jump in and do my bit first because I think yours will lead to a good bit of discussion. So I did have an email asking us to look once again at the, at trying to get the emergency signs that are up in the classrooms in Corinth turned over so that they actually are correct and not sending people in the opposite direction of where they need to go. So on that note, we are in the process of hiring a new emergency management person. And the interviews for that did take place yesterday. And Doug and I were both on the interview board. And so I made sure that I posed questions about, how do you feel about having these signs up in the classroom and how important are those? And all three candidates that we interviewed um, were really good about saying, those signs are great reminders for what you need to do in an emergency situation. It's great to look at that point, just to have that there. Of course, what we really need are trainings. All three interviewees said they would be very comfortable doing any trainings that the faculty asked for. So I feel confident that when we get somebody in position, we can hopefully get those signs turned over. Fortunately, Jessica DeRoche was in the meeting with us and she's like, what do you mean the signs are upside down? And I was like, Faculty Senate has been reporting this for 20 years. So we may even get some movement on that before we get an emergency management person in place, but it has been brought up again. And hopefully when we get a new emergency management person in place, all three of them were interested in walking through all of the campuses, taking a look at everything with fresh eyes. So I feel like, hope springs eternal, I guess I should say. So any questions on that? Yeah, there are no signs in the HSC building in Gainesville. There are no signs in any of the Denton classrooms. So I'm hopeful that when we get that new emergency management person in place, they will, come in with those fresh eyes and see all these things and make some changes. So, oh, that is a really good point, Kimberly. You're required to have them for your accreditation.
Yeah, I'm supposed to have them like in each one of my classrooms. Like I have a lab and then I use one of the computer labs on the second story of the HSC building. And in each of the classrooms, there should be the escape routes for fire and that kind of stuff. And there's nothing. There's nothing at all. Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing I've got on my wall in my lab is the locks that you can put down into the floor if there's an active shooter. I think it has a little bit of instruction with it, but there's no fire escape routes. There's nothing. And for my accreditation, which I'm up for review in 28, I have to have all of that posted. So I need it posted before 28.
Okay. So let me make a note that we need to reach out to Chief Clemens and let him know that that is an issue. So HSC building, because that will definitely get us some movement on it.
Good.
And that is for nursing, correct?
No, ma'am, it's surgical technology, but nursing
Surg tech.
uses those same computer labs. But
Okay.
like my lab that I've got for surgical tech, and then I use the 2 computer labs that radiology and nursing and us all share it. We just schedule it for different days. But there's
Okay.
nothing in any of them. And we're on the 2nd story also.
Yes.
So
Okay. Excellent. Well, that gives me another pressure point to kind of push on then. So, because definitely accreditation will get some people moving. Okay. Any other questions or concerns about that? Okay, well, Kristen is going to tell us about this new Einstein AI bot.
Yes, and I am putting a link in the chat. This is an article. I've seen several articles, but there are tools now being developed that essentially allow people to hand over their Canvas sign-in credentials, and an AI can just take the entire course for them. It will post to discussions, it will take quizzes, it will do all the things. And I think we all see where this is going and see that while it may not be particularly great right now, it will probably continue to get better. And we're already struggling to maintain integrity of our courses, which is one reason why, hey, going face to face, I'm all about it. But for those online classes, I think a couple of things as a faculty, well, there are many things as a faculty we need to be concerned about here, but one, I mean, do we have systems in place to sort of flag or catch these types of AI within our e-learning or IT systems? And if not, maybe that's something we need to address. And the other is expansion of more testing, more in-person course components, which no one likes, and students really don't like it because that's why they're taking an online class. I know I had students come to campus for an exam in my online literature course in the fall, and that was, of course, the biggest complaint, like, hey, I took this class online for a reason, but in order to maintain the integrity of the course, you know, I feel like we're just kind of scrambling here, and I don't know how willing our testing center, I mean, they have limitations, and if many of us expand this practice, what does that mean for our testing center? But I think there's just a lot of flags here, a lot of red flags, and something we need to be aware of. And maybe, I mean, I don't know how this works at the IT. I'm not an IT person, but certainly something we need to be looking at as a faculty.
Thank you, Kristen. Has anybody else read up on this tool? This, when you said it the other day, it was the first time I had heard about it. So anybody else have any information on that? Is it expensive at least?
There are different plans. And right now the demand is so great that not just anyone can sign up for it, from what I can tell. It's still in early phases, but I read another article where a math instructor actually tried it with a stats course, and it performed pretty well.
Jeez. So I'm thinking probably the next Faculty Senate administration.
And I know
Sorry to be
I mean, we're always
racist.
scrambling to stay ahead of these.
Right.
I mean, it's just kind of a nonstop. I mean, it doesn't end, but certainly we need to address it, I think, yeah, at our next
Right. It sounds like probably we need a meeting with Dr. King, Axel, and Kristen, since you're our local expert on
I
it.
don't know that I'm an expert, but you know, the
Well,
algorithm works. Once you start looking at these videos, more and more keep popping up, right? So
yeah,
now I'm
yeah.
seeing them.
That's a constant bombardment of, no, really, you don't want to do all the work in your class. Here, let me let me do it for you. Uh, yes. And how long until there's a Temu version of it that's really cheap? Okay, well, I will definitely put that down as something. If I can get a meeting before, before my term ends, then I will try to get something set up so that we can talk about that and see what kind of systems we can put in place to protect our course integrity. Um, any other questions, comments, or concerns about that issue? Are we all properly concerned?
We're properly concerned. In my intro to the teaching profession course, several students, when they were asked about current events in education, brought this up. I said, well, now AI can take your whole course for you, Mrs. Watts. So I had heard of it and read some articles about it too.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome that they're bringing that up, that, they're already thinking about it, as they're heading off into those areas. Because for me, I'm like, oh, can it be not good until, for like 4 more years until I'm out the door? But unfortunately, that is where we are. And it's, AI is improving dramatically day to day, it seems like. So, okay, any other issues that we need to look at, talk about, cry over? Okay. Well, for those of you who are rotating off of Faculty Senate, thank you so much for your service. Thank you for representing Jason, that is not you. You can't do hands up.
I'm applauding them.
Oh, okay. Very
Yeah,
good.
not myself. I'm still, you
Okay,
can't get rid of me
you're
that
scaring
easy.
me here. Thank you all for for representing your divisions and other faculty. We appreciate all your work. I'm gonna be very sad not to see Cheryl and Cheryl McGrath and Amy Ott, our long-serving faculty senators, on the thing next year. But if your division has not reported, if y'all didn't vote to select a new senator, please check with your division chairs to see if you need a new senator. We've only had a few emails reporting who their senators are, so check in with your division chair and make sure that that gets done, please. I will send emails, but I'm also sending emails for the employee giving campaign, and I'm not sure I'm very effective on either. So not sure anybody's listening to me, but and I believe I did hear from science. Not 100% certain, but I believe I did. I can send out a list of what I have so far. I know we have our 2 new adjunct senators in place. I know math did theirs today. So, okay. Any other thoughts, concerns before we go?
We should thank Misty for being a wonderful president for the last 2 years.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I hope that we've done some good things and been effective in some ways. It has definitely been a learning experience, and I would suggest everybody do this. Thanks, guys. Bye.